Good morning, and welcome once again to the People's Impact News. I'm Mydra Kelly, your host, and I'm excited to bring you your news this week from the Baton Rouge Weekly Press. It's sunny and still hot, but cooling off a little in the evenings, so enjoy the weather when it's not scorching and stay hydrated. First off, on our front page on the national scene, we follow up with one of the biggest stories in the news this past week, which is this whole ordeal with Syria. President Obama addressed the nation on Tuesday night, giving a very difficult report on his decision concerning the strike on Syria. The president said that the last thing that he wanted to do was to engage America in yet another war when he has worked tirelessly for the past 4.5 years of his term to eradicate the war in Iraq. President Obama announced that he is preparing a targeted strike on Syria, yet he has no intention to put boots on the ground. However, he further stated that we cannot just sit by and watch Syria gas people to death with their chemical weapons of mass destruction. Finally, the president asked Congress to postpone their voting until the diplomatic plans that have been put into place have had the opportunity to try and stop Assad. Next in the news, this past Wednesday marked the 12th year anniversary of the horrible 9/11 tragedy, where terrorist attacks were carried out on the Twin Towers in New York City, as well as on parts of the Pentagon. Thousands of people lost their lives, and reports show, in a more exact number, 2,740 American lives were lost. As we reflect on this horrific event, we also realize that the trauma and pain it caused, as well as the overload that we all got as a result of the continued coverage that we received. Traumatic events can leave us feeling bad and sad, and they can often trigger other life events that have impacted us when we do not take care of ourselves. So while we always want to keep you informed, we never want the news to make you sick physically or mentally. This week's article on September the 11th urges you to remember, but also to understand the art of forgetting. PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder, is a very real occurrence. Sometimes reliving painful and or emotional events can cause this disorder and affect your moods. In the article entitled Learning How to Remember, Remembering How to Forget, there are 5 helpful steps in caring for yourselves in the days surrounding the remembrances of events like 9/11, so that you can be prepared to take precaution and not allow yourself to get caught in a bad emotional place. The 5 steps are: number 1, be aware of the atmosphere of the day, what's going on around you. Don't take in more doom than necessary. You don't need to have too much bad news. Try to interject something positive to counteract the memory of all of the negativity. 4, focus on the good, even amidst the bad. And finally, make the decision to change the channel or turn it off if need be. Okay, now that you know how to receive your news responsibly, we can keep moving right along. And if you want to read either of these stories in their entirety, you can just pick up this week's copy of the Baton Rouge Weekly Press. On the local front, there's a lot going on. For starters, Governor Bobby Jindal is back in the spotlight as he draws attention from the Department of Justice. The Department of Justice filed a lawsuit against Governor Jindal's school vouchers. However, it's reported that this may be just what is needed to boost his political ambitions. This present issue is described as the perfect thing to keep the governor in the national news. And this time, it's even concerning things that are really about the business of Louisiana. It's believed that Governor Jindal may be preparing for a possible bid for the 2016 GOP presidential nomination. So read more about this entire story in the paper. Finally, and the cats just keep on purring, most recently, the latest on the CATS Capital Area Transit System story is that Ryan Hecht, board member, has called it quits. He turned in his letter of resignation on this past Tuesday afternoon, and Hecht is the sixth member to resign since April. He told 9 News that his reason for getting on board was to help through this transitional and turbulent phase. However, he feels that now the board is getting off track and he's done. You can continue to keep up with CATS as the weekly press brings you more of stories like this one and others each week in our paper. Now we're going to take a short break and go to our sponsors. I'll be right back. Welcome back, and I'm sure that this will be bad news for many. Doug Williams, longtime Grambling football star and now coach, has been fired. It's reported that on Wednesday, September the 11th, Williams was called into the Grambling State University president's office, President Frank Pogue, at 8 a.m. and given a letter along with the message that the school was going in a different direction. Now, Williams said that there was not a lot of conversation, and he simply said okay, and he was gone. This report comes from the Monroe News-Star, as reported to them by Doug Williams himself. Here's another one of those September 11th stories. It must be something in the atmosphere. Now, here is a story that is impacting Baton Rouge and surrounding areas. We are right in the middle of hurricane season, and FEMA is trying to raise the guidelines to increase flood insurance rates. The concern here is that flood insurance rates are going to skyrocket and become unaffordable to the people here in Louisiana. The fear is that because of this, people may not be able to pay their flood insurance premiums. And because of this, once this happens, they're going to drop their insurance. Now, Keith Walker with Metro Realtors brought out this point in an article that you can finish reading in the Baton Rouge Weekly Press. Well, another story that is impacting the people in Baker. The Baker Fire Station on Levy Lane will be closing on November 1st, 2013, and will no longer be employing the contracted part-time firefighters. Now, Fire Chief Danny Edwards said these measures are being taken in order to meet Mayor Harold Rideau's budget-cutting targets for this year. The mayor says that he didn't tell Edwards which budgets to cut, but either way, this decision could cause the city to lose its Class 2 fire insurance ratings due to these cutbacks. Okay. Now, ExxonMobil employees are so committed that they retire and they keep on working. They continue to serve the community. The retiree group, Emicora, hosted a speakers forum on job opportunities for North Baton Rouge. This group is keeping the city informed about industrial-type jobs and trainings for these kinds of positions. There are even several free training programs being offered through the Baton Rouge Community College. So for more information, you can call ExxonMobil YMCA at 225-906-5424 or email emycora225@gmail.com. The group is not offering jobs, but assisting those who are interested in how to move in the right direction. That's great. Thank you so much. Okay, if you recall, A week ago, we reported on the historical event of the 50th year anniversary on the March on Washington, as well as the famous Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech. Now, this week, there's a commentary worth reading concerning these events titled DC March Leaders Lacked Boldness. Pick up a copy of the Weekly Press and check it out. Do you think that today's leaders lack the kind of courage and boldness that they had 50 years ago? It's just something to think about and perhaps stir up some discussion. There are several commentaries this week that will offer you this opportunity. So let's take a look at business. The seniors seem to be staying busy. However, there's a continuous decline in the workforce for the younger generation. Now, a report from Washington, D.C. shows that 16% of young people were out of work in August. According to Generation Opportunity, a nonpartisan youth advocacy organization, in its Millennial Job Report for August 2013, geared specifically toward 18 through 29-year-olds, 16% of this population has given up looking for work. Wow. According to their reporting, 11.8% of those unemployed are in this 18 to 29-year-old range. 21.6% of these are African Americans and 12.8% are Hispanic, and the women account for 10.8%. Now, Verizon is set for a $49 billion debt sale. They're looking to raise money in a bond market to help acquisitions of Vodafone's group 45% stake in Verizon Wireless. You can read more on both of these articles in the business section of your Weekly Press newspaper. And that's it for right now. We'll be right back. We're concerned about your health, Baton Rouge. September is National Food Safety Awareness Month, and the Louisiana Restaurant Association joins with the National Association to raise awareness about food safety. Now, the primary focus this year is on allergens, and the theme is Take Action to Avoid Reaction. Lots of people have food allergies and they aren't even aware of it. And these allergies can be serious and they can even be deadly. So we want you to be aware and be safe. All right. Even though we are starting to move away from the summer, the mosquitoes are still on the hunt. So beware. The Department of Health and Hospitals has confirmed the state's first West Nile virus death. The state urges vigilance and states that this death is a reminder of how serious this disease is. The death occurred in Rapides Parish, and the state is posting 10 new cases this week, and this makes for number 31 this year. So use your repellent and take precaution from those mosquitoes. You can get more tips on safety in this week's Weekly Press. Once again, men, it is Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. So don't forget about all those screenings we told you about on last week. Go and get yourselves checked and take care of you. We need you to survive. All right. Well, this week, we'd like for you to check out Marge's Chit Chat column. Now, Marge gives you good information about what is going on in our area, everything from what events are happening in the city to who's doing what. So thanks, Marge, for keeping us informed. Pick up your copy of the Weekly Press and read Marge's entire article so you can be in the know, Baton Rouge. Speaking of events LSU Alumni Organization hosted a double event. The Gospel Choir and the Black Alumni Association hosted a tailgate party at the Student Union so they could catch up, tell their stories, and just have a good time. And of course, they're getting geared up for the Tiger football. Now, this group also gave a moving tribute to A.P. Tourreau Sr., New Orleans-based civil rights lawyer who argued the case to integrate LSU. All right, the Baton Rouge Weekly Press is concerned about you, mind, body, and spirit. And speaking of which, Bishop T.D. Jakes is gearing up to host his own talk show on Oprah's own network. So you might want to check that out. In our religious news, there are lots of articles to feed your spirit and even a little something to tickle your funny bone. This week, our regular religious columnist, Donald Lee, in his article, tells us how to be disciplined in the Word, and there's a really good article on dealing with grief. For those of you who have lost a loved one, it's really important that you take care of yourselves and address your feelings. On that note, our condolences go out to longtime community activist and politician, W.T. Winfield, on the passing of his sister, Edith Winfield Kelly Washington, who died this past week, and also to the family and friends of longtime musician, Mr. Stephen Jerome, who also transitioned this week. Our thoughts and prayers are with you all and all of you who are bereaved. Now, the church lady has a report on all of your church news like only she can tell it. So, get ready to read the church lady's report and get the dish on what's happening in all of our religious community. Okay, lastly, let's go to the sports. Serena Williams wins the 5th U.S. Open, 17th career slam title. This 31-year-old American became the oldest Open-era women's winner in the U.S. Open history. Now, Williams won $3.6 million plus an additional $1 million bonus for her success in U.S. Open tune-up events. So congratulations to Serena. And I think tennis would be a good sport. On the home front, the Southern University Jaguars are not as quite celebrated. The Jags took a big fall at Northwestern in their second away loss after that big loss to the University of Houston, now losing 14-55 to Northwest. Sorry, Jaguar fans. Let's hope it gets better for Southern's defense. Hang in there, Jags. Well, that's going to do it for me this week. Remember, this week you can make an impact in your life and in your world. Don't forget to pick up your copy of the Baton Rouge Weekly Press, and have a great week, and tune in next time for more of the People's Impact News.